Back in 1979, aka before even I was born, one Japanese man decided to make a franchise that was gonna define a whole category in the mecha genre. This anime was Mobile Suit Gundam. Down the line, many shows and games has been made with this titan of a mecha franchise. And while games looks like they've been stuck on the PlayStation 2 graphics for the past 2 decades, almost none of them have been sold outside of Japan. We recently got a game that tries out its luck in the hero shooter genre, with such staple games such as Overwatch and Valorant owning the genre. Hello everyone, my name is Tram. Get on board, because today we're gonna talk about the free-to-play hero shooter Gundam Evolution. This game had an interesting timing to launch, right in the week between Overwatch 1 and the Overwatch 1.2 patch, free-to-play by the way, modeled. Which was probably the most golden hour they could have put the game out, as people needed something while the OR servers were down for 2 whole days. After a brief tutorial, you get sent to the main menu where you can either game right away or look around in different menus. Regardless, you'll eventually queue up for a game and pick whatever's left. Don't sweat over what role to fill, because in this game the characters are a bit less specialized. Pick whatever robot you like the most and off you go. Since this is a hero shooter, there can be no 2 same robots on one team. Lore? There is none. Just Earth noise versus space noise, a tale as old as Gundam itself. So like 40 years. One thing you might or might not notice as you play depends on what games you played previously. If you got experience with games like Quake, Doom and Titanfall, you might make more use of the game's mobility options than other players, giving yourself a big advantage. How you traverse through the match will matter a lot. If there's something this game got the other hero shooters on the market beat, it is the mobility, especially during combat. Each suit has a set amount of boosters they can stock up on, shown as a segment on your fuel meter. This fuel is also used to hover after a jump by holding the jump button. But for most suits, the boost is the important part. The amount of boost count tells you how a suit was designed to be played. The one with free boost makes for powerful flankers, as they can get in for a backline kill and out of dangerous situations. In areas with a lot of paths and objects blocking straight shots, it can be difficult for the slower units to catch the triple boosters. Example of these are the Saku 2 arranged version, that dashes in, unloads its machine gun and once exposed can pop its smoke screen that makes it invulnerable for a few seconds and then dashes away to safety before repeating the process shortly again. The boost recovers fairly quickly, especially the more charges you have, as the fuel refills at the same speed regardless of how many segments the fuel meter is split up to. The double boosters are suits that are normally mid-range or close-range suits with a mobility skill. They can keep chase on single booster suits, but normally fails to catch up to the triple boosters in extended chases. Example of this is the mid-range Gundam and Gundam Barbatos, who while only having 2 dashes has a massive leap attack that resets its cooldown on kills. And the single booster suits are the least mobile ones, normally featuring heavy defensive loadouts or powerful long-range tools. Defensive suits like the Dawn Trooper that plants mines and has a shield gun to protect his allies, or the new Gundam that tags enemies with its attacks and then sends drones to chase after tagged enemies for further damage. If you wonder why a bunch of these are called Gundam something or another, that's a lore thing. You see, the mechs in Gundam tends to be legendary mechs with either super high tech in them, or just literal space magic like time travel. Normally, they are reserved for the protagonist depending on the show. So speaking of mobility, there's more to it than the initial impression of the fuel and the boost segments. For instance, look at Sasabi here, a single boost use. A lumbersome suit with a shield and a shotgun made for objective control and spearheading. But with some creative use of Sasabi's throwing axe, which we can charge ourselves towards, we can cross great distances if we sprint towards it and jump before charging towards the axe in the sky. You might think it's an obvious thing you can do, but it was some hot tech for the first week, and I still see Sasabis to this day that does not make use out of this feature. This is an objective-based game, which means that you single-handedly must plant the bombs or sit in a control zone, since no one else on the team is gonna do that and keeps playing it like it's team deathmatch. There are 3 game modes at a time: plant the bomb or stop the other team from doing it, capture control points or stop the other team from doing it, and finally, control points for a set amount of time before the enemy team does the same. There's only 1 control point available at any time and rotates randomly which one is next. The game has some anti-stall features. For the attack and defend objectives, there's timers and progression comparison. For instance, if neither team managed to secure the second objective in a round, then whoever got closest to complete it gets the point in a third round. For the contest mode, there is an overtime on the final control zone if the round lasted long enough, meaning even the team that's behind can catch up as long as they're controlling it, or take it during the match end countdown if the opponent team is controlling the point. How to get to these depends on what style of suit you picked. If you picked a bulky suit or a support one such as the Mephis or the Gundam Unicorn, a forward push suits your suit. If you have a speedy but more fragile suit, then going in from the flank is an option. Regardless of what suit you pick, you need to touch the objective or help others to do it. I'm only adding the last part for all the GM snipers out there that's more allergic to the objective interaction than they are to radiation. The combat itself, I would say, is generally on the slower side. You're not gonna worry about twitch shooting like in Call of Duty or Battlefield, but there are suits that specialize in near instant kills. Those are either known as combo suits that uses their skills in a specific order to kill all but the chunkiest of suits before they can get countered but leaving all their skills on cooldown, or simply the GM sniper that uses his gun to headshot for 1100 damage, which covers the health bar of almost everyone in the game. Also, with well placed healing kits throughout the levels and the boost dashes, many suits can escape to heal up and come back fighting sooner than having to go back to the spawn and heal up. As there's no real classes in the game, the supportive skills are spread out amongst the suits. Some don't have any, and some you don't expect to end up having one. For example, the DPS suit Payrider has a healing pod that they can plant down, much like Soldier 76 from Overwatch, where allies gets health over time while inside its field. Another is the armor gun from the Dome Trooper, who wields a bazooka. This gives a chunk of temporary health for an ally, which can be used as preemptively or to clutch a save on an ally getting focused. GM, which at first glance looks like a tank, with its shield and pistol, possesses a healing grenade, and finally, GM Sniper has a revive gun. Good luck finding a sniper who spends any time outside their scope to actually use the damn thing. Seriously, I've been down right next to snipers and watched them waddle left and right, like one of those Tivoli priced game targets, scoped up and completely ignoring me spamming the revive please signal. The game does have dedicated support suits in the Mephis that has a surprising amount of burst damage with twin shot, and it can turn into a plane for a short time for some nice maneuvers. Mainly Mephis will hook their repair cables to wherever they wish to not die. They can even use those cables to repair a downed ally while they are still moving and shooting, as long as they don't move too far away or break the tether. The other support suit so far is the Gundam Unicorn that passively heals allies in an aura around them, like Lucio from Overwatch. However, unlike Lucio, Unicorn here is a very slow suit with little health. This is compensated with the fact that he carries a minigun, and its ultimate being pull out a revolver that shoots death beams that goes through walls, which I think compensates its slower nature. You can swap to other suits at any time if you feel, current one isn't cutting out for the matchup. Let's get to the monetization. Now comes undoubtedly the shittiest part of the game. The freemium currency you get is fucking capped. No cap on that. The freemium is called Capital, and each season you get a total of 2000 capital if you practically max out the season pass. And that's the exact price the suits cost to unlock. So for free, regardless of how much you play, you can unlock one suit per season. A season is 3 months. To progress the pass, you mainly focus on completing your daily and weekly missions. They are most of the time fairly harmless, but still promotes trying to make you play daily. But I'm gonna be real with you, I played the game a lot when it came out, and after 60 hours, I first completed the first season. If you absolutely min-max just doing your dailies/weeklies and log out afterwards, you'll probably do it in less time. But then, are you really playing because the game is fun? Other means to earn capital is the starter missions, which has to be the dumbest implementation of it I ever experienced because of the timer gate. Normally in free-to-play games, these types of missions unlocks the next segment on your next daily login. Complete a list of missions before it unlocks the next step. However, in Gundam EVO's current iteration, you are time-gated by the stupid login for X day challenge. You'd think login for 2 days, step 2, would count the day you logged in for step 1 challenges. But no, you must log in 2 days for step 2 to complete that challenge. This stacks up all the way to step 7, where you have to log in on 7 different days once you unlock step 7, which, if we count it, is about 28 days in total for all the daily logins. I really hope to change this to function like it does everywhere else, because of this giving gamers more annoyance or grind exhaustion than wanting them to keep playing the game. Anyways, as you'll finish all 7 steps of the starter missions, you just have enough to buy another suit. During Christmas, they gave us 2023 capital for playing 10 matches over 2 weeks or something, so at least they let us enjoy the holidays with that gift. Depending on how frequent these bonus capital events are, the free-to-play life might not be as bad, but only time can tell. I don't mind when a game locks cosmetics out of free-to-play lifestyle, but making us unable to earn capital outside of controlled limited amounts is literally keeping a paywall on gameplay. It's a big ugly thorn piercing my side and into my lung, an otherwise stellar team objective FPS game. There are loot boxes too in this game, handing out cosmetics. Most of them are recolors or occasional patterns. There's yet been a skin that changes the shape of the suits or the weapons. I don't care too much about this as long as I get to have my suits in blue because that's my favorite color. The tickets you need to roll on the loot boxes are given fairly enough for free to play. Never waste your capital on gacha pods, just keep them for unlocking suits. One thing worth mentioning on the season pass, if you max out the upgraded, aka the premium version, You will end up with enough premium currency to afford the next season pass. So if you play this game a ton each season, it's a worthwhile potential one-time investment if you really like the stuff the passes gives you, mainly cosmetics unique to the pass. The 2000 capital you get from the pass is on the free version. While we're at the customization, let's talk about characterization. If you play with Soundson, you'll hear a lot of sound effects iconic from the series, like the sounds of the respective weapons sounds like they did in the show. Your suits have in general 2 abilities and a super move. They're called G maneuvers. Why? Simply because the suits do not have personality to go with them. The suits have pilots but not customized to fit their respective suits. So instead you equip one of the pilot voices available, and instead of making like 18 or whatever different personalities have voice lines fitting each specific suit and future suits, they say the same generic things instead. Funny enough, the most toxic pilot voice line comes from Goku of Dragon Balls.
Have you tried being good?
You can run the same voice on all your suits or spread the pilots around for more varied experience, whichever suits your fancy the most. There aren't many maps in the game and you'll quickly get accustomed to most of them. There's a weird map rotation where you likely play the same map 3-4 times in a row before getting to play a new one. And they're adding more maps. I don't know if it's one new map each season or what. We got Space Colony map along with the first added suit, the new Gundam. And so far that's probably my favorite map. I'd say overall the map design is decent, but great maps are few. I wish more maps had the design philosophy of Harbor City with both choke points and big open areas, but decorated with environment that gives you cover for shorter range suits to advance between. Speaking of cities, the Gundam immersion itself is not really here, as everything is Gundam sized. Except for a few cars and elevators platforms in the spawns, it never feels like we are 18-meter tall war machines. If we want to say Overwatch characters on the same map, we wouldn't feel like giants stomping around on alleged human-habitated areas. While the sound effects are there, the animations and visuals does not immerse me into feeling like a machine. It's like I said in my initial impression, due to graphics in terms of machines and weapons looking like plastic, it feels more like we are Gunpla plastic figurines and the metal machines from the show, which is fine with me. Build Fighters is an easy top 5 Gundam show, where the entire premise was people fighting with their figurines, so I'm not so bothered with that. To showcase more of the game, I'll mention some of my favorite suits and what they do. Sasabi, aka Big Red, is the largest, most absolute unit in the game. Massive health pool and the biggest health on his shield and does obscene damage up close up. Along with the Tomahawk mobilities, the Sasabi is a fun spearhead unit that punches clumsy melee suits that whiffs their moves in front of you and takes 600 damage shotgun blast to the face. Perhaps underappreciated is Sasabi's second skill that lets him wallhack nearby enemies by auto-tagging them for you while the skill is active. His G maneuver is releasing a swarm of angry robot bees that will fly around and melt enemies they find. Combined with the shotgun, you have a crazy strong kill potential. However, Sasabi being the biggest means he's the easiest suit to hit. With a single boost, you gotta be mindful of your positioning and surroundings. I have seen several times where a good Sasabi carries the team for simply being the one guy who holds the objective and guards it like a starved dog. Few suits can dance with Sasabi at hug range, so forcing enemies to get to you already puts you an advantage, but it comes at the cost of relying on team to deal with faraway threats like the GM sniper. Another one is the benevolent and wonderful gun tank. A beginner's best friend thanks to his main weapon having auto-aim. Being able to revive force and speed gives the little tank guy a very unique supporting role, as few others can take the risk to revive mid-combat without getting shot down themselves. But for the gun tank, it is often possible. Gun tank is a very chill experience. Your damage is very set, since you don't have a chance to apply headshot damage due to auto-aim. Plus side is your damage is consistent regardless of distance. The weakness is the same, however. Due to your middling damage output, fighting suits at the distance they are designed to fight at puts you at a disadvantage. With the skills of a shoulder cannon blast that is tricky to aim at longer distances, you can apply some surprise burst damage, and the charge skill can be used to both escape or to close the gap while applying some extra damage. While dashing makes you immune to ranged attacks at the front, so it's great to force long-range enemies into a close-quarter shootout. And your ultimate is literally suiciding as you deploy the pilot out of the gun tank and fly somewhere to explode, normally kills anyone close enough. You might end up going back to your gun tank realizing, while you were flying around, someone found your body and killed it. And my personal favorite out of them all, the flying UFO Ashimar. This guy got my first MVP screen ever and he's a blast to play. I say Ashimar peaks at being a harasser, one of the two current flying suits and one that focuses on damage between a very precise burst rifle, even while moving, and an incendiary grenade. Ashimar being a nuisance high in the sky and rapid repositioning is a fun way to play this very mobile game. Able to tag enemies behind walls to help team with awareness and catching players off guard from an unexpected angle of attack. Makes this little guy such fun experience when you use these skills to full potential. G maneuvers are clunky dash and stun punch, mostly useful to either stun a group of enemies or to win a one-on-one when you're out of escape options that otherwise would quickly eat you alive. Ashimar support comes from the incendiary grenade, dealing AoE damage, and the vision granted from being high in the sky for easy tagging. Just be careful of precise long-range suits, as while you are in UFO form, your entire gun becomes a weak point, aka headshot damage. One of the best features in Gundam Evolution to me is the downing system. Basically, when you kill someone, the mobile suit shuts down and can be revived by other players. I think the down body has around 500 health if someone wishes to destroy you. This does give a lot of interesting ways to keep the attackers pressing on instead of having to respawn all the way back to the spawn, if they can control the fight and manage to protect the down mobile suits while their allies resurrect behind them. This is especially good for either Mephas, who can revive with cables and doesn't have to dedicate basically stunning themselves trying to revive someone, or the gun tank, which I mentioned before, which is 4 times revive speed. So all in all, is Gundam Evolution a good game? I think it's a great team FPS PvP game with a unique combination of mobility and slower playstyle to it that you can't really get elsewhere. The problem is the greedy and unfriendly free-to-play nature of the game with capped premium access. Even just a little capital per game played would do a ton to promote players playing more. I think this is a game you can play casually once or twice a week or so after you finish starter challenges for the 2000 capital to unlock a new suit. Since there's no free rotation, you can't casually enjoy trying the premium mechs. You can, however, try them out in a testing range to get some level of impression before making a purchase. If the game had a kind of free-to-play model, it could have been a fantastic game, as the gameplay itself is fun, especially if you're a Gundam fan who appreciate the varied cast of mobile suits. I mean, come on. They decided to put in fucking my hero of all suits in the game before any other iconic ones. Not to mention that the last fucking mech was fucking Gundam Hyperion that maybe like 3 people in the world wanted. The player base is small, which means that you will probably be playing with people you have encountered before quite often, especially if you play multiple games in a row. If you're interested in playing ranked, I suggest trying out the Japanese servers. The ping might not be as bad, depending on your internet speed, as recently the European and the American servers got merged together. I do not notice a ping difference, I still have under 100, so it's fine by me. So with all that said, I hope you give this game a try. I mean, hey, it's free to play anyways, right? I have a Twitch where I stream games over at twitch.tv/Tramilton, and a Twitter where I post when I stream and upload new videos linked in the description. I want to thank you all for watching, and until next time.
Over here. Pinpointed our location.